Hello, welcome to episode 103 of Daryl Show Your Work. So, in this episode, I'll be exploring a vulnerable Apache Tomcat web server. So, before I jump into that, I want to preface this with my usual disclaimer. Anytime I'm doing any sort of offensive security activity or any red teaming, this is for ethical research and educational purposes only. Any sort of malicious actions that may directly or indirectly come from someone watching this video, I do not take responsibility for, nor do I condone. All right, so to give a high level overview of exactly what a Tomcat server is, it's a free and open source Java servlet web server used to build and host dynamic websites and web applications based on the Java software program. It uses the HTTP protocol to facilitate the underlying communications between the server and the clients, and it runs on TCP port 80 by default. All right, so I'm going to walk through and show a way that this particular web server type can be exploited. So to start off here, I've already done some discovery, and I have our target IP address, which is 10.3.23.27. But one thing that I need to gain is my IP address. So in order to find that, I'm going to do an ifconfig. All right, so let's just move this over here. All right, hold on, give me a second. Okay, all right. So it looks like we're on interface Ethernet 1, and my IP address is 10.10.48.5. All right, so I'm going to just take this down because I'm going to need this later on in the video. All right, so let me see my IP so I don't get confused here. There we go. All right. So from here, I'm just going to jump right into the Metasploit framework. So in order to get that running, I need to start up the postgresql SQL server and the msfconsole. I always say server, excuse me, database. All right. Let's see. And while that's going, let's copy the target IP address because I'm going to need that in the very near future. All right. Okay, so I'm going to create a workspace for myself. And so I'm going to say workspace dash A, and we're going to name this Tomcat, since that's the type of server we're looking to exploit. All right, so before I get started, I'm going to set our target host here as a global parameter. So any module that I use while logged into Metasploit, it already fills that in for me as my remote host. All right. So from here, I'm actually going to run an nmap scan within the Metasploit framework. And again, the advantage of that is because the advantage of that is it's going to save the output within the Metasploit database. So basically, whatever the results are, it's going to save them right here within the database, and I can work off of the results that I'm enumerating while running the nmap scan. I'll show you an example of that. So I'm gonna say db underscore nmap, and let's say I want to run a send scan, a service scan, and an operating system scan on our target host here. All right, so let's get that going. And basically, what I'm looking for is open port 8080, since that's what Tomcat generally runs on. This may take a little bit, not too long, but a little. Sometimes it's a little bit longer than average. Okay, all right. So let's take a look here. All right, so it looks like if we look here, I indeed have port 8080 open. It's running the HTTP protocol on it, and is indeed running Apache Tomcat. All right, so then the next thing I'm gonna do here, I also want to show if I type in services. All right, so we could see all the protocols that were just enumerated by the nmap scan is also saved here within the Metasploit framework. So now in the background here, we can see everything that the nmap found right here within Metasploit. So that's the advantage of running nmap within the Metasploit framework. And there's other things we could enumerate, which it was saved here. And I've shown that in some prior videos, but I wanted to specifically show that about the when it comes to the nmap scans. So next, I'm going to search for a tool here that an exploit tool that specifically targets Tomcat web servers. All right, so I'm going to say search. Oops, type, and we're going to look for an exploit module, and we want to look for anything that contains Tom. Let me put my quote. Excuse me, my colon. Tomcat underscore JSP. All right. See, no. See, I should have found something. Let's see. All right, let's try. Let's just try Tomcat. Let's see. Okay, all right. We have a list here. All right, so the one that I am looking for, I want to use the upload bypass. All right, so the ID module ID number 12. All right, and this is the Tomcat RC E via JSP upload bypass um, module. Okay, so what it's going to do is actually it's going to upload a Java service page. That's what the JSP stands for. That's why I was at first I was looking for Tomcat underscore JSP, but that was unsuccessful. But I was basically what this is looking for. Basically, what this is going to do is again it's going to upload a Java service page payload and execute it, but it will not produce a interpreter session. All right, so that's just the only thing is if you're looking to execute an exploit that that conducts a that will give you a interpreter session. This isn't one, but I'm going to show how we, if we did want to have a interpreter session, how we could gain one still using this same exploit. All right, so I'm going to say use 12 since that is the exploit that I'm going to be using. All right. So from here, let's see, let's go to show options and let's see if there's anything that I need to configure. All right. So looking at everything, all right. So of course, our host is already set since I set that as a global parameter. And then our port is set to 8080 by default since it's specifically targeting Tomcat. And the L host is already set to my IP address, all right. And then the L port is set to 444, which is fine, all right. So everything looks looks good here, and I'm going to set a payload. All right, so I'm going to set a payload that that's going to that's going to bind and reverse a shell to this JSP executable. Okay, so because I want ultimately I want to be able to gain a reverse shell into the system. So I'm gonna say set payload Java JSP, and then say shell underscore again, and then bind TSP. All right. All right. Now I've set that payload, and I should be. Let me see. Oh, and I want to also. Okay. Let me see. Go back up. Let me see here. Well, now that I got that set, let me go to show options. Now I have a different payload set. Okay, so now with this with the shell, I'm gonna set that to a CMD. So basically, I want to since we're targeting a Windows system, I want to be able to target the CMD command. So this is going to execute through the CMD terminal. All right, so I'm going to say set a shell CMD. All right, and I believe this should be ready to go. Let me see. Hold on. Oh, I need to set the R host. All right. For some reason, it didn't set it there. No worries. So just gonna paste. Well, hold on. Gonna paste that right here. All right. And then let's exploit this. All right. So it's uploading the payload. So okay, just making sure everything is okay. Let's try that again. Maybe I messed it up when I did that. There we go. Okay, I shouldn't have done that. All right. Looks like now I'm in the within the actual target host. So I'm gonna say who am I, just to make sure. And I have full authority. I have full system authority. All right. So that means I have I can run pretty much any command I want to run within this Tomcat server. All right, so I'm going to jump into though if we wanted to have get a meterpreter session with this instead of just jumping right into the shell. I'm gonna show how we can do that. All right, since this particular exploit module doesn't allow us to do it by default. All right, so there's some things that I'm going to have to do. So I'm going to do a Control Z to background this process. I'm going to tell it yes. All right, and then I'm gonna show that we still have this session going since it's in the background. I'm gonna just say sessions. All right, you can see that we can still see session ID 1, and we still see everything that's going on. We see the shell banner, Microsoft Windows, and showing the version 6.3.9600. All right, so to begin trying to gain a interpreter session, I'm gonna jump into another terminal and I'm gonna create a custom payload with MS Venom. All right, so I'm gonna say MSF Venom. All right, and then we want to use the reverse TCP. Give it an S payload here. I have to first give it the directory in which it's housed in. All right, reverse TCP. All right, and then I need to give it the L host, which is my IP address. So let's go up here to where I have that stored. All right. Then see, we're going to set the L port to set it to 1234 dash. The format we want to put it in is an exe format, and then we want to pipe that out into an exe file named meterpreter.exe, and that should save that to my local directory, and I'm gonna check on that after it's done creating it. All right, so it looks like it created it, and this is a 32-bit payload. All right, we can see that the meterpreter.exe file is in my local directory here. All right, so the next thing that I want to do is I want to host I'm going to host a simple a web server here, and then open up a multi-handler in well, actually, no, I'm not going to open up. Actually, I'm going to do something different. I'm a I'm a host it here, and then I'm gonna use a utility called cert util that I've used in a previous video to then download the interpreter session onto the um, from the target host. All right, so I'm gonna jump back into that shell session and download this particular custom payload and execute it from there to try to get the interpreter session. All right, so let's set up that simple web server, and to do it, do so with Python. All right, we're gonna say simple HTTP server. You notice that a lot of Python syntax, a lot of it is plain English, so it's a pretty user friendly language to set that up on port 80. All right, looks like that's going. So I'm gonna go back to my other terminal here. All right, and from here, I'm gonna jump back into this. Session. So I'm gonna say sessions, and it looks like that session ID is 1. So I'm gonna say sessions 1, and it should put me right back into that shell session, and it has. All right. So I'm going to use the cert util tool within this Windows web server, and I'm going to download. I'm gonna give it the IP address of my simple web server, which of course is a web address. Excuse me, which is the IP address of my Kali system, and download this custom payload from there to then execute within this target host. So I'm gonna say cert util URL cache, and then F, and then I'm gonna give it the URL here, which, let me see, do I still, yeah, I should still have that copied. Let me see, paste. Yep, that's my IP address. Okay, and then I'm gonna give it the directory. I'm not the directory, I'm sorry, the name of the file. All right, because that's already in my local directory, so I should pull it directly from there. Let me see, did I spell that right? No, I spelled Mr. R. All right, interpreter. All right, then no, I'm gonna say exe. All right, and then I wanted to save it um, to a file of the same name here when it downloads to the server. So I'm gonna put the name again, and I want it to appear as the same name here. I can name it something else, but I just want it to stay the same. All right. So just checking my syntax here. Okay, all right. So let's get the downloading. All right, looks like that downloaded successfully. So I'm gonna check my local directory here within Tomcat. I'm gonna say dir. All right, and we can see that meterpreter exe file in here. All right, so I am actually, hold on, let's see. Let me see. I'm gonna leave this alone for right now. Before I execute it, I want to terminate this this server right now because I don't need it. So I'm gonna do Control C to terminate that. And now I am actually going to set up a multi-handler. And the way I'm going to set a multi-handler is what I've shown in a previous video, 2 videos before this, and that's using a resource script. All right, so I'm gonna show how we could do that efficiently, just like I showed before. So I'm gonna say nano handler RC. All right, so this is going to create the resource script for the multi-handler. All right, so I'm gonna say I'm gonna just write all the steps that I would write within Metasploit, as long as I could spell this right. Multi slash handler. All right, and then I'm gonna say set all caps payload, and we want to set that to the same. We want to make sure that aligns to the same payload that I set using MS Venom inside the custom payload. So that payload was located in Windows Meterpreter, and it was called reverse underscore TCP. All right, and then I want to make again my L host has to match, so does my L port. So my L host, remember, was my IP address. All right, which I should still have copied. All right, and then we want to set the L port to 1234. All right, and then I want to tell it to run. And so when I run this, when I boot up the MSF console again, I'm gonna boot it up with this file, and it should automatically run these steps for me instead of me having to put them in myself. All right, so I'm gonna say X to exit, Y to save. All right, so let's load up the MSF console here, and we're gonna load that up with the resource, the handler resource script, and that should run that process manually for us. Excuse me, automatically for us. And you can see I'm not putting that post grade SQL database step because it's already running since I'm already have another Metasploit MSF console running in another terminal, so I don't have to do that twice. All right, so I can just run this MSF console by itself and boot it up with this handler uh, resource file, resource script rather. So what's gonna happen here is now that I have this multi-handler set up, once it's setting up, all right, so it looks like it's executed to run. So once I have this set up, I'm gonna go back into the other terminal, and now I'm gonna execute the custom interpreter exe payload, and it's gonna make a connection here to this multi-handler, and the actual interpreter session is gonna start in um, this terminal that I'm in now. All right, and it's gonna start a new session, new interpreter session to our target host. So technically, our target host is going to have a shell session in it, and it's going to have a interpreter session in it, all going on at one time. All right, so let's jump back to the first terminal. So I'm gonna say dash, and I'm gonna say interpreter .exe. All right, so let's keep our eye on what's going on. All right, and let's jump to back to the other window. All right, look, we got our interpreter session, okay? So then I'm gonna run a couple commands here just to show that everything is connected. So I'm gonna say sysinfo. All right, so you can see we have that 32-bit session here, in a 62-bit version of Windows Server 2012 revision 2. All right, I'm gonna say get UID. All right, and let's see if we can capture a flag here. All right, so I'm gonna say dir. Well, hold on, not here. Okay, no, I can't use dir here. Let's jump back into the other. All right, so let's say let's do a dir here. Let's see, nothing there. So let's take it all the way back to the root of the C drive. All right, now let's do a dir to see what's in there. But bingo, our flag. All right, so I'm gonna say type flag.txt, and there we are. All right, so there's our flag. All right, so that basically just shows um, how Apache Tomcat, the type of vulnerability that it has, and again, it has that Java specific vulnerability where we place that where we upload that Java service page payload and execute it within the Tomcat web server. All right, so just to give a brief overview of what I did here. Of course, I did some I as I started off or did some off-camera discovery and found our target host. All right, and then I logged into the Metasploit framework, and within the Metasploit framework, I looked for well, I ran a an nmap scan which then confirmed that port 8080, which usually hosts that Tomcat web server. Um, I basically found that that was open. All right, and so from there, I looked for a specific tool that targeted Tomcat specifically. The Java service page upload functionality, and was able to find one, but the problem was that we were able to run it, and I was able to set a payload that binded a shell, a reverse shell to it, but that throws you right into the shell, or directly into the machine itself. And if I want a meterpreter session, well, by default, it doesn't necessarily allow that. So I had to go back, create a custom payload to then that would allow the running of a meterpreter session, and then download that. Once I created that using MSF Venom, I had to host it using a simple web server using Python, and then go back into our shell session that I established using the original exploit. Use the certutil tool to download the custom file that I'm hosting using that simple web server, and saving inside the local directory. Then going back, and then on my end, and then creating a resource script that creates a multi-handler. So I would then be able to create a listener within the Metasploit framework, that so when I execute that custom payload that's now in our target host's local directory, that it catches that connection, and now I can set up a meterpreter session on my end. So now I have a shell session going and a meterpreter session going. And then from there, I just went back to the shell session, dug around a little bit, and in a local directory, and found that flag. All right, so that's just an example of how a Tomcat web server can be exploited, um, targeting that Java service page upload functionality, targeting using that as an attack vector to be able to gain entry into a target host. So please like, share, and subscribe. Most importantly, show your work. Until next time, take care of yourself, and God bless.